Hello and welcome to episode 27 of Rival Banter. I'm one of your hosts, Luke Croft. Joining me as always, my esteemed co-host and head archivist of the Library of Congress, ladies and gentlemen, Seth Martin.
I feel like you've used that one before. I could be wrong.
Oh, I almost certainly have not, because I just saw a picture of the Library of Congress and it sprang to
Okay,
mind.
okay. So it was off the cuff. I got you.
Yeah. Maybe it's just because you've dreamed often of working at the Library of Congress.
Could be cool.
Oh, your video is very delayed for some reason. It's probably a me problem, not a you problem.
Yeah.
We'll see. Anyway, how have you been, my friend?
I've been good, just getting ready for school's esports season coming up here. I don't really have to do that much to get ready. Just kind of mentally prepared to be at school longer. I'm excited. I've been trying to work a little more rivals into my school routine. Don't tell anybody. And yeah, here I am.
Every now and again, I get that little notification that says your friend Seth Martin came online, and I don't know if it's, your family logging onto your PlayStation while at home or if it's you at school.
It's a mystery, and I'm going to keep it that way. I can tell you if the person is playing Bug Snacks, any Five Nights at Freddy game, or um,
Leisure
something of that
Suit
ilk.
Larry.
Right, Banana Hammock 6,000 or whatever. That's probably a child. Connor's discovered Fortnite. I'm starting to try to dabble a little bit in Fortnite just because I want some of those new Power Ranger skins or whatever. Some of the stuff that's out, like it'd be cool, a cool like hat to have in my bag. That's one of the games we can play Fortnite duos at school. Is one of our Zone Wars duos. Is one of our game modes, so it'd be nice to have a little bit more Fortnite experience. I haven't played since like 2018 ish, something like that. The game has changed a lot. I played one match yesterday. I fought an army of bugs and a boss. Shit's wild. It's totally different than when you and I played, like on the Switch way back when.
Yeah. I haven't played since my oldest nephew has gotten out of it. Now my nephew only wants to play Madden and NCAA football. So
He's
so
a man.
so no Fortnite. What esports are you guys going to be competing in this year?
I don't know yet. Our like first meeting is tomorrow, like an interest meeting to kind of scope out the scene. We always have people, like a ton of people, say they want to play stuff, and then when like push comes to shove, like either not enough people show up for that thing, or just kind of depends. But I'm optimistic. I think we have a lot of like overlap and like the same people playing different games. So we might have like 10 to 15 people on the team at large. Those people like are each playing like multiple, like they're juggling different games across their season. So like some will be Smash, on Smash team, the Rivals team, and like the chess.com team. um it just kind of depends on the person and on the season.
Are you a chess guy, Seth?
No, I wish I was. I just don't want to take the time to learn.
Yeah, when I was working at GG, I worked with a lot of guys who are really into chess. There's a big cross section between esports and chess. Um, but uh, but yeah, it was just I used to play, but didn't know a whole lot about it. I just had a couple guys like in college I'd play with from time to time. But yeah, I tried to play against some of those guys I worked at GG with, but they were just like light years ahead of me, man. And I was like, what's castling? Who knows? But
I don't know. I
I
just coach the team.
I used to do like
I'm
the
just there. I'm a facilitator. That's most of what it is.
I
I
used to
can
do
coach
like the
rivals and
the
stuff.
daily puzzles for on the chess app, and those were fun. I felt like I did get a little bit better when I was doing those pretty regularly. But yeah, that's one of those things you just got to play a whole hell of a lot in order to and it's got to be like, it's not one of those games you can just play and get better. Like you kind of have to focus and know what you're working on in order to improve. And I just never got the time. But
Yeah, for sure.
how many people show up to those interest meetings thinking that they're going to go home with a PlayStation 5 to practice on?
I don't know. They don't say that, but I wouldn't be surprised. One time we did a donut fundraiser, like like selling Krispy Kreme donuts or whatever. I talked about it like every day. Hey, y'all sold donuts. So you have your like log sheets where you like wrote down who gets donuts, how much money you collected, blah blah blah. One guy at the end, like the day that I pick up the donuts in Greensboro and bring them to the school, the guy's like, "I didn't get any donuts." I'm like, "Did you sell any donuts? How was I supposed to sell donuts? We didn't have them." And I'm like, "Brother." So I would not be surprised if some of them showed up like, "PlayStation, please."
Yeah, those fundraisers were always a scam. My mom always ended up just buying whatever we needed for the gold.
Well, this I like the Krispy Kreme one because you don't have to buy anything in advance, and it's actually like a pretty good deal. Like they're right, or if you do the suggested price, you can sell them for cheaper, but like to get 50% return, you're like selling them for the regular price of a dozen donuts, pretty much, maybe like 50 cents more, if that. And so like you don't have to spend money out of pocket to do the fundraiser. You just kind of do it. You place the order and pick it up. Your
Mm.
car smells like donuts for a couple days. It's like a win-win-win.
So click the link in the description if you want to buy donuts from Seth.
Buy donuts today.
This is Rival Banter. We get together every week over here and talk about all things Marvel Rivals and then push it out on podcast services on Wednesdays. We also publish on YouTube. Just search up Rival Banter. And we're on social media at Rival Banter on TikTok and Instagram, wherever you're listening, following, checking us out. Make sure you hit that follow button, leave a comment and a like. And we appreciate you so much. And we have lots of listeners who leave comments. We got tons of comments this week. I have just gotten in the habit of where I'm going to put 5 in here. I'm going to pick 5 comments, and I'm always going to give precedent to the people who are leaving comments on Spotify because those are the people listening to the whole episode, engaging with everything that we're saying, just like Aiden Heat did over on Spotify. And he says, it does seem as though NetEase, at least recently, has been pushing more skin packs than the gameplay itself. Not too many challenges to keep me busy, and as mentioned, no more small mini games, achievement boards. I really like the Galacta board game they had a couple seasons back. In my opinion, they need to slow down a bit, start focusing more on the gameplay and less on cosmetics. I'm aware that's hard to do when you probably have millions coming in a week. I don't know, just my opinion. Seth, what's your opinion on Aiden Heat's opinion?
I think Aiden Heat's opinion pretty much backs up our opinion from last week. It was great when they were doing those events. Like they might not be the most engaging things in the world for everybody, but I think it does kind of add just like a little extra, like I don't know, like dopamine hit or something when you're kind of doing this kind of game within the game, or doing something else a little bit different within the game. It mixes things up. I think when the ideas are fresh, like even though that board game, like you weren't really doing anything unique, like it still was nice to kind of have that facade over it was basically just a battle pass, right? That you unlocked random whatevers, random items at different times. Just kind of depends on how much you play and what you land on, like with your role. The Ultron mode, totally different thing. It was fun for some more than others, but I mean, it was out there. uh, I really dig when they do new and different stuff like that. So I hope they keep it coming. But yeah, I do think there has been. It does seem like there's been kind of an influx of like skin packs or random cosmetics, totally sold separately, individually, a la carte, whatever. Um, I hope it's not like a. I hope this is just kind of a phase, if nothing, else, and not like kind of speaking to the direction that the game's going at large. But whatever.
And the thing is a lot of those things are like I feel like you could do the Galacta event and give it kind of a premium tier where you unlock certain tiles on the board for premium pieces and like give that step up ability that you have inside of the things like the summer pass or the Hella pass that we just got or the latest Venom pass or whatever. There's so many names floating around that I can't keep up with all of them, but you get what I'm saying. And I get them not wanting to just do these straight up free events like they were doing with some of those things in the early days, but you can add premium elements to it while also giving us that like gamified, hey, I'm unlocking X amount of rolls and I have my little game piece that's moving around the board. Like you said, it doesn't add anything totally uh like game changing to the experience, but it does give you a different feel. Like there's a little bit more effort put into it than just like, here's a new splash screen for you to spend some money on, you know?
Yeah, it's like it's a little bit like it breaks the monotony. Not that like the game is necessarily monotonous, but like it, just mixes up the screens a little bit for a while, kind of mixes up what you're looking at for a little while. It's not just that one screen. You're kind of, even though you're not really doing anything, you still looks like you're doing something, feels like you're doing something, and you get to see the little piece move across the board, or you could probably reimagine that same event a million different ways, and just have it kind of be something similar but unique each time.
And it keeps the passes from like melding together in your mind, right? Like I can't totally keep separate like what skins are in what passes over these last three that we've gotten, like which one is the old man strange skin in and stuff like that. So
Yeah, that's like the same thing. You're just looking at a bar, and you're making
yeah.
progress on the bar, and there are multiple bars now, overlapping within the same seasons, right, or the same half seasons. So I do kind of miss that old way. I'm not like against this, but it would be nice to kind of get back to that. It kind of made everything feel more like an event. Like we remember, I don't, because I just brain farted, but I know we just mentioned it. The Galacta event. What was that called?
Yeah, it was like the Galacta, it was Galacta's gift or something like that.
Something like
Yeah.
that, yeah, like, I remember that much more. These 2 events that are going on right now, no idea what they're called. I'm totally drawing a blank on that, but, like, I still much more vividly remember those because there was a gimmick behind them, right? So, I'd love to see that kinda thing. I think that, NetEase has the potential to definitely keep that going. It's just, it probably is more lucrative, like Aiden says, for them to kinda just keep pumping out content this way, and they're not spending as much time on design and UI design, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I do want to kind of mention this though, because this is something that I see pop up in a lot of game discussions. I work in game development as well, and I see this in the game that I work on too, where there seems to be this sort of like false dichotomy. Is that maybe the word I'm looking for? Where this kind of like false or statement where it's like you got to focus on gameplay or you have to focus on cosmetics. And even on a team the size of the team that I work on, which is small, there's like 30 people that work on the game that I work on. That's marketing and development combined. Like there are different people working on the gameplay side of things and then on the art and cosmetic side of things in the game I work on, right? NetEase is a much bigger project than, and so as far as the people that are like working on the gameplay balance, those are different than the people that are probably working on the events and skins and the stuff like that. So like an increase in volume in one of those areas doesn't really make me look at it and say like, wow, look at all the resources they're spending there versus there. Like the resources that they spend there are the way that they recoup the money to invest to be able to give us new characters for free, to be able to give us gameplay updates every 4 weeks, to give us new maps every 4 weeks, like, so I don't mind so much them putting effort and energy because I don't think it detracts from any other area of the game when they do that thing.
Mhm.
Seth, why don't you read this next comment from Thatcher Sandow if you have that pulled up for us?
I do. Thatcher Sandow says, I always thought that having a sort of Roman numeral system that is put in the top corner of your Lord icon would be cool to add. Use it to show how many times you've prestiged a Lord character. I like this idea. I mean, it's pretty simple, pretty basic, but it's, something, it's distinct, right? I imagine maybe like the more that you progress through a system like this, maybe there are other things you can do, like maybe the numerals dialyzed a certain way, depending on how many times you've prestiged or something like that. Maybe each step is kind of its own font and format. I think we maybe have talked about or juggled the idea of like frames. I
Hmm.
know they're introducing those for ranked, but maybe having specific, like, whatever you want to call this, like extra lord position. Maybe that rank doesn't necessarily look like Roman numerals, but maybe it's kind of like playing around with the framing of your Lord icon. I thought about you and I played the what was that game called? Marvel Snap for a while, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
Pretty good while. I really liked how they added that cosmetic element where, like, you upgraded cards, and as you upgraded them, they became, like, either, like, full I don't know if this is the word, but, like, foiled, like, to different degrees.
Yeah.
They could be, like, 3D, and you can't really do this on a PlayStation controller unless you use the gyroscope or whatever. It seems like a little much, but you could do that with the card, and you could like kind of tilt it, and it would move according to how you tilted the screen. They had a lot of different kind of cosmetics, and the card got just cooler and cooler looking as you progressed. So something like that, I think, would lend itself well to this. And then, if nothing else, maybe just adding more tiers that would allow you to have an even more badass, another cooler icon for your Lord characters.
I love that idea. I love anything that kind of continues to set people apart the more they invest in the characters that they play and stuff like that. Did you ever really get into like prestiging in Call of Duty at any point?
I think I did. I want to say they had prestige mode in
Like
like
all
the
the
original
yeah,
and
like
like
Modern
Modern
Warfare.
Warfare
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
1 way
Yeah.
back when, right?
Yeah.
I think I did a little bit then. That was the one that I probably played the most. Cat, are you kidding me? The one that I probably played the most. Hope I didn't mess up the show notes, but whatever. I totally skipped somehow or missed Modern Warfare 2, the original one. Played a little Modern Warfare 3, and uh, there were a few I kind of skipped around like my college years because I kind of fell out of gaming for a little while. Um, but yeah, it's just never been my thing. Like I just kind of prefer to keep my guns and stuff. But I do get the ideal of like cosmetics and that being appealing to you. But I just kind of hated resetting everything, except you keep your one item each time that you prestige or whatever. Um, I don't know. Just never was a huge incentive for me. And nothing like that little prestige icon just wasn't enough to really sell me on it, I guess. I like the idea like Rivals has the Lord card or your Lord icon, the idea of adding frames based on your rank and stuff like that. All that just gets me hot. So that's kind of more what I'm into.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to have like individual character I'm going to say this word, it's going to sound like a dirty word, but like individual character shops where like the more lord uh currency you build up for a certain character, the more you can like purchase, rare. I know they try to keep this consistent art style with the game, but there's so much cool art in the Marvel universe over the last 85 years within the comics, and it's like it'd be so cool to be able to unlock like an old school like 60s X-Men like Wolverine for my like a Wolverine portrait if I had lorded Wolverine to a certain point or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and or even like skins and stuff like that too. Like, I wouldn't be opposed to having Lord exclusive or post Lord exclusive skins and stuff. It just came to my mind just now. We're spitballing here. But like I did like my little Marvel course or whatever over the summer, like little fake college class for high school students. And we were looking at some old like Penguin classics, like the Black Spine Penguin classics. Has in like the last few years started releasing like old Marvel comics, like Captain America collections of some of like the original ones. They're pretty thick, they're pretty big. They have like the old kind of stylized comic book, kind of like almost cel shaded, filtered
Hmm.
look to them. Stuff like that, I think, would be cool. Like being able to add an element like that to your skins or to your Lord card, or to whatever. Something like that. I like. I love it.
Yeah, I have to imagine we're going to see even pretty soon like an evolution of the lord system because there's people who have lorded every character in a role. I'm sure there's people that have lorded almost every character at this point, so it's such a big engagement tool for them already. Why not continue to invest in and find creative ways to keep people investing in that way?
Mhm.
Next comment comes from Anime Viewer 66, talking about adding original characters into Rivals. Says, having a solid blend of new and old characters, I think, will be healthy for the game. Plus, the characters can be a proving ground for new comic characters and new series, and those series would have a better chance of thriving if they had characters that came from the game. Thoughts on this, Seth?
Um, you know, yeah, I like the idea of that. Again, like I said last week, I still just there. I don't feel like there are enough examples s- of this kind of thing to really get me going. But I mean, it definitely is true. Like, I like the idea of it. The same kind of argument goes for like existing but more obscure characters, right? Like Jeff the Land Shark. Nobody knew him before. Now he's like America's sweetheart, or Marvel rival sweetheart at least, or at least he has been kind of on and off. Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. What about you?
Yeah, you know where I stand with the original character thing. Like, I'm not big on the idea of introducing original characters, especially when there's so many characters to choose from, and you can just ham up a obscure character and make them a cult classic. I don't know how much I buy into the idea that like soft launching a character into Rivals is going to help give it a better chance of succeeding beyond the Rivals universe, because I think as popular of a game as Rivals is, in the grand scheme of entertainment itself, it's still pretty niche. And so you have much better chance of succeeding with a character that you launch in a different kind of a medium is like a side character in a movie or something like that, right? um
Hmm.
but but I agree. I think that Rivals has done such a good job of blending the 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 Mount Rushmore characters of Rivals with the obscure characters of Rivals, and giving us reasons to love all of them in the game kind of equally. So I hope that that's the direction they continue to drive in. And I'm not overreacting too much about this original character thing. I think they have the license to do it. I don't think that necessarily means they're going to exercise their license to do it anytime soon. I think they've got a roadmap of characters that they want to introduce. But yeah, thanks for that comment. And then hit us with this next one, Seth, about the new Venom skin.
John says it's gross. The face is so out of place. If you had the choice with an emote, it would have made the skin perfect. I mean, it is kind of like I've liked the idea at first. I think last week or so when we first noticed it, talked about it. Looking at it a little more closely, I do feel like it kind of has this weird like conical thing going on. It reminds me of something like from
Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. So and I was never really a big fan. I'm not like a big Tim Burton fan. So I think that me making that connection kind of like soured the me on the skin a little bit. I've decided since, unless something really changes, I'm not going to be buying this pass just because there's so much cool free stuff. And I don't really play Iron Fist. I rarely play Venom, and if I do, I've got enough Venom stuff I think already right now until something like really super appealing comes on. I like the idea of this being an emote, or having the option to kind of wear the Venom face, the symbiote face as the skin, or to kind of take it off. Kind of like how the Fantastic Four skins for
Yeah.
foreskins.
The
Um,
Future Foundation skins.
right, you could kind of if you do perform the emote, you change them from like the black and white to white and black or whatever. So yeah, I love the idea of that. I do think there are other versions of this skin, maybe not like the Phoenix Force thing or the duality theme, whatever it is. I forget what it's called, but doing something more traditional, like just kind of maybe even just adding an emote like that to the regular Venom skin, where you can kind of choose to have the mouth as a hood that's removed for Eddie Brock's face, or you can do it for just Venom's face. But I think there are a million different iterations of that you could do.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of the emote. I had forgotten that you can do that with the Future Foundation skin, but when I read this comment, I was like, they need to leverage that more often with different skins. I think that's such a cool idea of like emote, and then you get this kind of like permanent change to the skin until you emote again. Uh,
Mhm.
Edwin J. Rod. This was our most popular video from last week, by the way, Seth, which was wild to me of us just spitballing that there might be a Halloween event. the the easiest prediction of all time.
Well, this is what people want. They want to talk about characters' bodies, their rock hard, even rocky bodies, and they want to talk about possibilities. And so, yeah, I'm totally down for it. Cat, if you knock over my my action figure tower, I'm gonna be pissed.
Edwin J. Rod says Ghost Rider with a headless horseman legendary skin for Halloween. Is that too much to ask for, Seth? I
That'd
will.
be
I want a
badass.
Ghost Rider Vanguard in this game so bad. It's going to be so sick when he
That would be.
comes.
And the cool thing about Ghost Rider, there are different Ghost Riders, so you can put Ghost Riders in different roles, depending on the character, what they maybe lean more towards in the role. I think that's an awesome idea. There's even like I forget, I'm not a huge Ghost Rider fan, but like the Western Ghost Rider that rides the fire horse instead of the motorcycle or the car. That's like a perfect fit for something like this. So yeah, I mean that's I don't want to say it's a missed opportunity if they don't, but it really would be super cool if they did.
Yeah. Who are some of the existing characters that you're hoping to get Halloween skins for? I know I'm putting you on the spot
Mm,
here, and you might not have thought about any yet.
yeah, I'm bad at being at the spot. I should be better as a teacher, but it depends on the circumstance. It's also late for us. I don't know, like, I mean, I feel like anybody, I feel like Scarlet Witch could definitely be, like an Elphaba or like a Wicked Witch of the West, something like that. She's already witch. You just make her extra witchy, paint her green, and give her a black suit and hat, something like that. Jeff, you could have endless
Yeah.
possibilities, like dress him up like a businessman, give him like a little like New York Yankees sweater or something like that. I don't know, like some sports memorabilia, baseball jersey,
One of those
football
hats
jersey,
with
or whatever.
the beer cans and the straws.
Yeah, yeah, dress him up like Abraham Lincoln with like the top hat or something. Like it's, I think you could make 1 million off just Jeff in these cosmetics. Uh, Iron Man, dress him up like I don't know why I'm going the Wizard of Oz. I do not like the Wizard of Oz. Make Iron Man the Tin Man. Um, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? Anything come to mind?
It's funny. I asked you this question, then I didn't have anything in mind. But I mean, there are just endless possibilities with Jeff. I think we absolutely get a Jeff skin as well. I don't know, man. I'm just a sucker for all things Halloween, and I'll buy anything, even if it's a character I don't play, probably uh,
Yeah,
for the Halloween stuff. But
I'm guilty of stuff like that too. Like I forget. I think it was Hulk. Like I used one of my tokens on Gladiator Hulk way back when. Played like 2 games as Hulk, but I like to have it for whenever I do decide to whip my Hulk out.
I do think a Hulk Halloween skin where Bruce Banner is dressed up like Hulk and Hulk is dressed up like Bruce Banner would be a great Halloween skin. Um, what do you think of that idea? Is that good?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, why not, right? Like you can get a whole League of Extraordinary Gentlemen thing going on. I forget who all those dudes were, but could be cool. Why am I thinking? I don't know. I have zero thought behind it other than just it just popped into my mind. Would somebody be like a good V for Vendetta um candidate, like have like the little V mask, the anonymous mask or whatever? Do we have any?
Oh yeah. I don't know. Would it like Iron Fist be a good V for
Maybe,
Vendetta candidate?
maybe
Or
something
Star
like that.
Lord,
Yeah.
maybe? Because Star Lord's already
Maybe
got the
somebody kind
mask.
of brawly because he's like that character in the comics and the movies. Like all hands on. He's like a super talented fighter, combat veteran, whatever. Kicks a lot of butt. So somebody brawly for sure. Like definitely a DPS, but somebody light. Maybe it could be a future character that gets something like that. But it also might not be popular enough anymore to really sell stuff.
Yeah. Give me all the Halloween skins though. Like just release a la carte for each character, and I'll buy every single one of them.
That's the only thing that makes me like every once in a while I do like I want to jump back into Overwatch here and there because like they've got all these wild crossover skins, like the Gundam skins, the Cowboy Bebop stuff. Some of them are better than others, of course, but like that stuff is pretty cool. I do think there's a fine line though, where it can kind of get a little much, or kind of like I don't know. Call of Duty does the same thing. Where like I don't really want to see Paul Atreides from Dune while I'm shooting people with hyper realistic military weapons. I don't
Yeah, or like when they just bring in like influencers into a game, they're like, you can be
know.
Kai Cenat. Like I don't want to be Kai Cenat.
I don't really want to do that. Thank you for the opportunity. Like I don't want to see these like people in my game. Just give me original characters. Give me somebody I know. Whatever. But that's a whole different conversation for a different day. We got a whole show to get through.
We do, we do. All right, well let's talk about our weekend rivals this week, Seth. And I figured this would be a good place for us to talk about the new game mode because we played a lot together this week, and we played most of our time in the new game mode, Resource Rumble. And I don't know, man. As I was scouring our comment sections on videos about Resource Rumble, a lot of negative opinions about it, with just people saying they were going to dodge it if it gets added into competitive, that the games take too long, that it's just glorified King of the Hill, yada, yada, yada. We got to play it, Seth. What are your initial thoughts on Resource Rumble?
Like first game, we're kind of figuring things out a little bit. I'm sure we still have a lot more to figure out, but that's neither here nor there. First game, I was a little iffy on. Second game, once we kind of started to make some connections, I really kind of enjoyed it. We just had the conversation last week. I know you were talking about kind of wanting a more brawly meta, or like enjoying when the meta kind of does lean towards that brawl fight style. And this like straight up is like it's a brawl mode. You've got like a whole phase dedicated to just like a tug of war at the end to decide who's going to win the thing. It could be a comeback phase or just like a total domination phase where you're just pulling out the win. So it's kind of forcing everybody to fight in these pretty small spaces. It's frenetic. I think it's pretty fun, and it still relies on a lot of like the core gameplay mechanics. You've still got to team up. You've still got to approach fights, and we want to work on angling, work on like making sure that you know your positioning and where you're going to be. It might look a little bit different in this mode, but again, like all the kind of foundations are there. And the more I played it, the more I kind of found that I enjoyed it. But it's not what I want to play all the time. I do think that it has a lot of competitive potential, though.
Yeah, it's definitely like something worthy of the rotation, it is not something that I want to queue into every single game by any stretch, but no game mode is something I want to queue into every game. Uh, I do think for Resource Rumble though that it sort of suffers a little bit from just not being super clear about what it is you're supposed to do, and it looks so similar to domination that people think that you're supposed to play it like domination. You cap the point, then you take the space, and you know and I think I saw a lot of comments about like these matches take 25 minutes or whatever. And it's like, I, that didn't make a whole lot of sense to me until I started thinking about it more. And it was like, I bet these people are playing it like domination, where they're capping the point and then they take space and fight off of the point. But the point of the mode is that you fight on the point, because the more people you have on the point, the faster you gather resources. It's like the push modes, right? The more people you have on the cart, the faster the cart goes. Um, so this mode kind of suffers from just a lack of clarity on what the objective really is, and that's what makes hero shooters so good, is that there is a lot of clarity in what you're supposed to be doing. Right, when I hop into a convoy match, I know I'm supposed to be pushing this cart from point A to point B, and there might be like little mechanical things that I'm not quite aware of. Did we talk about this on the podcast where we were playing with Larry a few weeks ago, and he was like, did you guys know that the cart heals you? And I was like,
I don't think we did talk about that. If we did, I've forgotten about it. So the people have too.
yeah, it was wild. So we were playing with Larry, and he was like, did you guys know that the cart heals you when you're standing near it? And we were like, yeah, dude, it's always done that. And it always did that in Overwatch too. And he's like, are you serious? And we played probably 1,000 hours of Overwatch with Larry, and the fact that
Well,
he,
you did for
yeah,
sure. I probably had like 100, but yeah, I mean, it boggled the mind. But like, that's kind of the point, right? Is like they we've spoken before, like, I think these games could definitely do a better job with a tutorial or, something. You don't have to tell me exactly how to play the game, but, like, introduce the mechanics. Like, you kind of need to be didactic in some ways, like, straight up explain this happens, then this might happen. And you can do this or you can do that. Like, give me some possibilities. I don't need to be in there for an hour. Either give me like a little sheet to read. I know people don't like to read, whatever, that's the thing. Um, or if nothing else, just some kind of some quick, snappy scenarios with a little bit of explainer, or just have Galacta talk you through it for a few minutes and then call it a day. But again, that may be a lot more to ask than we know. I'm not a dev.
but I think even like in game, they could have Galacta be more clear about what you're supposed to be doing because
That's true too.
she's like you're ready to rumble. It's like what does that mean? You just keep hearing rumble rumble over and over again. It's like
Yeah, the rumble phase is starting. Like, what does that mean? I do like that idea. It's kind of more organic too. Like, just kind of listen for the directions. People don't like to do that either. I'm a teacher, so I know. But like, just listen out, let her kind of give you a direction, like, hey, do this, maybe you can do this, could be cool. A lot of the time what that is, as it stands right now in the game, is kind of like either like weird kind of lure centric stuff, or just kind of like, hey, go time. But I think you could, like, there is some room. I really like that idea that you can kind of use that function of the game as a tool to give some direction where there isn't really any right now.
yeah, I think like even in Convoy, like as soon as the spawn door opens, right? It's like you know, uh, push the cart to blah blah. Blah. Like there's a line that kind of tells you what to do, and I don't feel like there is that in Resource Rumble. Maybe there's like capture the resources, but there's no explanation on how to do that. This is kind of what happened with Ultron's Battle Matrix Protocol, right? Like they just put this whole new game mode into the game with zero explainer outside of I think you could press like triangle to get the rules of the game mode to pop up. But like you said, people aren't going to read that shit. And then they wonder why people fall out of it, like churn out of it so quickly because they get in, they're confused, it takes so long. They don't feel like they're really making an impact on whether or not they win or lose or have success in the game mode. And then as a developer, you look at it and you're like, wow, people just want to play the same old shit over. And it's like, no, they just know the old shit. You got to teach them the new shit. And you're not doing a great job at it. And yeah, the point I was making before the Larry story was just like those game modes. Number one, like they're just the standard game modes that we've always had in hero shooters. Domination, convoy, whatever the third one is that I can never remember the name of, convergence. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
those are like the standard modes we always have in hero shooters that people know. But the objective is always just really clear, like capture this point, push this objective. I like what they're doing with Resource Rumble, where it's like it's a little bit different. We're trying you got to try to do something a little bit different, but it kind of turns some of the things about hero shooters on its head because yeah, you cap the point, you take the space, you keep people off the point is normally what you're trying to do. But in this game mode, it's like you cap the point and then you want to have point presence. You need to stay on it, right?
Right.
I also feel like it does kind of impact what compositions you want to play, right? Like you want to play something that's a little more brawly, that where you don't have a bunch of flyers kind of hovering above the point or whatever. So, but I don't know. I hope it gets folded into competitive. I hope they maybe tweak the speed of the game or whatever. And I also hope we get some more maps. What do you think of the map?
For a Clintar, like another Clintar map, I really don't mind it. Like, it even though it kind of does look the same, it feels way different than any of the other maps, I think, or the other Clintar style maps. It definitely has a different flow. I like kind of the layout, how they're the kind of these tunnels that you go through and to different points or whatever. There's kind of a speed boost mechanic that works in different places and different situations. So I mean, for all that we said to the contrary about Clintar maps last week or the week before. This one, I'm kind of like it's probably my favorite so far out of the ones that we have. Totally different game mode, but
Yeah.
still.
Yeah. No, and I really like the design of the map because it is designed to not encourage you to take the space, right? It's designed to give the attacking teams who need to try to take the point like multiple angles to try to get to the point from. And so you can't like try to take a corridor because then it's just easy to get around and to the point from a different corridor. And that's not good map design most of the time in other kind of hero shooter modes. And so I like that. It makes me excited for what they might be able to do with other maps in this mode in the future, that there might be some ideas you wouldn't normally be able to get away with in other more traditional hero shooter modes. So yeah, I if we had to get another Clintar map, I'm okay with it being this Clintar map.
Well, let's make it the last one though.
Yeah, for sure.
It's time for change.
All right, Seth. Well, let's move on. Any final thoughts on Resource Rumble before we get to the news?
No, no, just like we said last week, I'm optimistic. I'm hoping that now that I like the mode, I'm kind of even more so hoping for like a kind of double map drop to kind of give some variation. I really like the mode, but it is kind of taxing to play on just the one map over and over and over again, back to back to back. So give me some diversity, and I'll be all on board. I'll be a champion for this game.
Mm-hmm. And guys, stop being fucking boomers, shaking your fist at all things new. Like, encourage developers to try new things in these games, give actionable, constructive feedback on how they can make the game mode better. But don't just be like, game mode shit, don't add this. You suck. Why would you do this? Because that's how you just get stuck playing the same three game modes over and over and over again for years and years to come. I want to get 5 years into Rivals, and there's 10 different competitive game modes within the rotation. I'd be perfectly happy with that. I hate that we lost 2 CP in Overwatch. All for push. Push is a terrible
Yeah,
map.
that's about where they lost me too. I think I tried to come back for that one, and no cigar.
All right, first item on the list, we got the Scarlet Witch Phoenix Chaos skin coming this week. This is the only skin coming to the shop update this week. But Seth, we got the render of it here posted on the Marvel Rivals Leaks subreddit. I think this is cool. We've talked a lot about Scarlet Witch skins in the past, about how they it's kind of hard to do cool things with Scarlet Witch because you're kind of cornered to specific design things with her. But I feel like they did some unique stuff with the fire and the purple, and yeah, I like the skin.
Yeah, I was kind of getting a little bit of fatigue. Like we've kind of got different versions of different skins this go around. Like we've got our Venom or symbiote skins, we've got our Phoenix Force skins, we've got kind of the duality skins. What are those called? Like, do they all have kind of the same name, or is it kind of just dependent on the character?
I think it depends on the character, but I'm not quite sure. I've also
Okay.
got the trailer playing here while we talk about this too.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I kind of like it's still kind of the same theme, but it's like a riff on that theme. I kind of I like it. It's different. It's pretty unique. I almost kind of hope that Phoenix is the only one that gets a skin like this to kind of make her stand apart, especially since she's so kind of critical to the lore of this season, this part of the story.
You mean Scarlet Witch?
Yeah, I was thinking about Phoenix. My bad.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was making sure I didn't get something wrong. Yeah. I like the. I think I like the Phoenix skins more than I like a lot of the symbiote skins that they've done in this season, because I think there's been just a lot more like I don't know, creative breadth with the Phoenix skins that they've been able to do. So yeah, I'm for this. Like I said, I don't really play Scarlet Witch, so I won't buy this skin, uh but it's cool that they're doing cool new things with her.
My one complaint now that I'm tired. It was a long day. I broke up a fight today. It's a
Oh
whole
yeah.
thing.
Full Nelson,
Um,
go to
I,
sleep.
I wish, brother. Go to sleep. One day I saw a man, a teacher. He like was breaking up a fight, and it was like the coolest thing I've ever seen. He goes, he got the guy, and he's got him in like the classic, the teacher bear hug, and he goes, "I'm going to put you on the ground now." And very calmly, very coolly, very like respectfully, as respectful as you can when you're, in that situation, he placed the young man on the ground. It was like to restrain him. It was like, wow. Anyway, it's been a few years. My one complaint is I totally thought this was just at a glance, I thought that it was Phoenix because she looks like Phoenix. Like there's a Phoenix on her chest. She's got long hair. She's got breasts and a dress. Yeah, just kind of at a glance, I'm like, she looks pretty phoenixy to me. Even in the trailer, don't they have like a little phoenix blossom behind her?
Yeah,
Am I making
yeah.
that up? Yeah. So like, I guess just glancing at it, I was confused, and I feel like I'm justified in that.
No, it's all good, and I do think that this is like the weird thing we've kind of talked about with like the thing symbiote skin and this, where there's just like I don't think the visual confusion necessarily comes across. I don't know. I think maybe sometimes with that thing skin, I have been confused a couple times in game, but but definitely in the advertising, I think it can get confusing just when you're looking at the names, especially, and you've got like two different character names inside of the skin name and stuff like that. Like the whole thing is odd. I get what they're trying to do, and I think it's cool when it all comes together. It makes sense, but it is confusing, especially to somebody like me who knows jack shit about the lore and isn't really keeping up with the story or anything like that. So
Yeah, yeah.
now, one thing I do want to ask you about, Seth, like it's another week of just one skin in the shop update.
I'll take it. I mean, we spoke kind of there's like this breadth of other cosmetic stuff going on right now. Like we've got more than we've probably ever had before, I feel like. So I'm kind of cool with it. I don't want that like again, like I feel like this is a Phoenix skin just on Scarlet Witch. I think it'd be cool to kind of step back, kind of space out some of these skin releases a little bit. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but there'll come a time where I'll probably miss them a little bit.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know. I'm all for it. Just keep rotating stuff into the shop. I think it's cool, especially for uh it makes sure that people who main certain characters are getting the love that they need. I think next week we're getting like a new Penny Parker skin and stuff like that. So keep up the cadence. I think it's fine. But like you said, we don't need two skins in every single shop update if we also have like three skins coming in each of these passes that are coming every week or 2 weeks and things like that. All right, we got a small balance update, dude. We have not moved when we do this podcast, but for some reason, NetEase has moved when they put news out about what they're doing with this game because they used to put stuff out on Tuesdays and then we could talk about it on Tuesday evenings for the show. No longer the case because they put these patch notes out last week, right after the show. But these came live to the game last week. A couple just small adjustments here. Blade got a slight buff, an increase to his life steal during Bloodline Awakening from 60 to 65, and a reduction to his self healing reduction from 40 to 35%. So they didn't touch uh, the the healing reduction for incoming healing, but did slightly improve the healing reduction for the self healing. Um, and I feel like I did kind of notice the blade was a little bit better, a
Yeah, yeah.
little more sustained. People thought he was bugged when he first came out because of his life steal. This feels like this is a double buff, really, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a big uptick in like the amount of people that are able to go like positive KD ratios, right? Or like, ELM ratios, like a lot more than that first week for sure.
hmm Human Torch got some nerfs, so reduced to his flame field damage over time from 25 per second to 20 per second, and then a reduction to his pyro prison damage over time from 50 per second to 40 per second. And I like this. I like when they sort of continue to reward people for being good with hitting shots with their characters, and that's what this nerf is. It's like we're not just going to let Human Torch play space denial all the time and be super annoying with this stuff, which is what a lot of you know lower tier Human Torches rely on for being good. Um, Not going to touch his like direct hit sort of stuff. Not going to touch his dive ability and that sort of thing. Just going to touch the damage over time for the stuff that gets left on the field. I'm all for that. And then Loki just got a slight nerf as well, reduced the mystical missile damage dealt by Loki and his illusions to enemies from 30 to 25. Nothing changed with the healing. And again, just continuing to nerf the stuff that kind of automatically goes. Like, and I like that. Just reward people who for being good at the game, not for picking characters that have the ability to auto aim or leave annoying traps on the ground. Uh, all right, and then the final piece of news: Marvel Rivals just introduced their first duo emote into the game, and it features none other than Emma Frost and her 24 karat gold Labubu Jeff. I'm playing it here for everybody to see, and they're going to share a nice warm embrace. Seth,
That's precious.
do you like this?
I love it. I almost bought it today when I logged on. I decided not to. I've got a buttload. I've got like 18K in units, so I'm kind of trying to save for either a big skin bundle or something, something like that. This is 600, so it's not that bad, but I don't know. Did I say 18K? Maybe I meant 1800. Whatever it
I think you said
is. Like,
1800. I said 24 karat. I don't know. You're good. I think we
like
got what you.
yeah, I mean, this is tempting. I definitely see myself getting this somehow, some way. It might be tomorrow. I might change my mind and just go ahead and
I don't
decide to
know,
get it. It's
where I
precious.
play Emma, it might make sense because my first thought when I saw this was like, I don't know, man. I can barely I barely want to have somebody pick me up when I'm playing Thing and they're playing Human Torch, and that like impacts gameplay. Am I really going to find somebody who's going to want to emote with me on the field? But if it's me and you, hell, me and you will emote all the time. So I play Emma, you play Jeff, so it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I'm down. We can
So
do it. Can you
uh
buy them individually? Do you know? I didn't
I
think to
have
look
no
for that.
idea. Actually,
Okay,
I'm actually not sure. I
that's how they get you.
probably not, but uh yeah, no, I like this sort of stuff. I'm interested to see how far they're going to take this. I was reading some of the Reddit comments on the post there, and somebody was like, "Man, I hope they do something for all of the Fantastic Four, where like all four of them get together in emote, which could be cool. You know,
Yeah,
all the
yeah,
Avengers." So, uh, all right, Seth, let's move on. Oh my God, we're 55 minutes into the show.
yeah, boy.
Damn. All right. I was trying to stretch it because I thought we had just started.
Oh no, we're deep.
All right. Well, let's move on to our main topic of the day, which is the topic that everybody's been talking about. This 18-minute video that Marvel Rivals posted up on their Twitter account, and that's the only place that they posted this. I was looking for it on YouTube, couldn't find it. Where they broke down their matchmaking system. Seth, how much of this did you watch?
Just kind of a little bit here and there. I've kind of just read more about it than I've watched, and a lot of it, like just little parts stuck out to me. And I may be missing something where I haven't watched the whole thing, but I know at one point they talked about they gave some hypothetical numbers. They said they couldn't give like the actual numbers and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, that's why. Is it like a copycat thing? Is it a privacy issue? Is it just that you don't want to share that information because it might not look good? I don't know. Like that's just me being maybe like a skeptic, but I
So,
don't know.
so I did watch the full 18 minutes. And I think that there was a couple reasons that they didn't do it, do a specific number one. I think they wanted to just kind of keep it at easy math for people to understand. And the second thing was just and I guess this is the same thing, just said in a different way. It's just like the calculations in the back end for them to do the matchmaking are more than just like one line for you, right? Like I'm sure it's a gigantic ass algorithm. And so for them to just like break down the whole algorithm would probably be more than anyone would want to see or know. But I think just for like the sake of demonstration, they simplified it because they were showing like 3,500 average versus 3,500 average team versus a 3,300 average versus a 3,500. Like they were kind of just evening up the math to make it more approachable. So I don't think it was any like nefarious or even like a proprietary thing. I think it was honestly just a hey guys, there's a lot of math that nobody cares about behind this shit. We're going to show you more math than any other game has showed for their matchmaking still.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense.
Uh, but I don't know, man. I have a lot of thoughts on this, but I'm going to start with this one, which is I'm not the kind of guy to say that I told you so. All right.
Yes, you are. You we're about to say it now.
But I told you so. All right. I was
Mhm.
never sold on the whole engagement optimized matchmaking. And that was kind of the main point that I think they were leading up to, which was, you know, I think his name's Ziong. He or Ziong. He looked right at the camera and said, "Marvel Rivals does not use EOMM." And honestly, that was the crux of the whole thing. The whole reason that they put this video together was to tell people that they don't use this matchmaking system. And in some ways, I think that they use this video as a little bit of like I don't want to say a middle finger, but I can't think of another way to put it. But like they gave us more information than anyone wants to know about matchmaking, I think. Just in terms of like how it works.
Yeah, and I guess that's like that's a strategy, right? Like you asked for it, here you go, and you're kind of like, even if those numbers don't mean anything or whatever, you're kind of like, I mean, you could fool me in with any numbers. I start hearing numbers, and I go blank. There, whatever. I've got to look into that one day. But
English major, by the
um,
way.
what's that?
I said English
What did you
major,
say?
by the way.
Yeah, yeah, whatever, math, bonkers. Um, but like it's a response, right? So like it's almost like going to the car shop. And, if you don't know about cars, somebody could tell you your Johnson rod or whatever is out of whack. And, oh, all right, here's $300, please. I feel like you could do that. I don't think that they are in any way, but I do think it's kind of a response. Like, here you go. Here's how the sausage gets made. But and then you rattle off a bunch of jargon, and it's like a probably like a yeah. I could see it as kind of being like a little like a I don't know, kind of a middle finger. I'm trying to think of a word,
Yeah, not really a middle
not
fingers.
sarcastic. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like kind of a response, like or a mic drop, maybe something like that. Could it be a mic drop?
maybe. Yeah, yeah. It's more of just like saying, "Hey, you guys want to make it seem like we don't put any thought into this outside of we just want everybody to go 50-50. Here's all the thought we put into it, and this isn't even scratching the surface, Like it's
Yeah, and
overkill."
and I think how many people even knew? Like I never really thought about EOMM before this conversation to begin with. So like, how many people heard it were totally convinced? Like, this is it. Ah, and they get the mob together. They get the torches and pitchforks, and there's not necessarily a basis for that. So like I think we said before, it could be true. Possibly. Sometimes it does feel a little wonky. I think it still doesn't mean that matchmaking is perfect in any way, or even great all the time. But it is comforting to know, at least, to kind of get the words straight from the horse's mouth and to have the receipts to prove it. I guess. Again, I can't read the receipts, so I don't know. I'm gonna trust those people.
I just want to read part of this slide that I have up here, Seth. You don't.
Hmm.
I have paused this just at a random point in this. This is then weighted by playtime. The overall coefficient works out to be 1.08 parentheses 1.2 times zero point 0.4 plus 1 times zero point 0.6 close parentheses. Finally, this player coefficient 1.08 is compared to the other five teammates. Let's say they are 1, 1, 0.8, 0.8, and 1.15, resulting in an average of 0.97. Exactly, Seth. Exactly.
I'm snoring for the audio listeners out there. You said the word coefficient, and I'm like, fuck. I don't remember what that is, and so the whole thing's lost in the sauce for me. Good for y'all, Netties. You won.
And this is the whole thing, guys. Like, everybody wants to think, oh man, there's just this giant ass conspiracy. The game's out to get me. They want to give me a five loss streak and blah 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 and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, no, guys. At the end of the day, you are a player coefficient being matched up with other player coefficients, and they're just trying to get that number as close to one as humanly possible and as fast a time as humanly possible. And the thing about a lot of this video is this is the way that matchmaking works in every single online game you've ever played in your life. I work on a small online title, and we use the same sort of, we take your skill ranking. We started off on a small, very narrow uh very narrow sort of like criteria of who you can be match made with. And if it takes too long to find an opponent, we start to scissor out and say, okay, now we're going to widen the search out to these ranks and these ranks. Like, they're not doing anything novel with the method that they're doing this matchmaking. But they just gave you way more detail than you would ever want to know, as if but all in the effort of saying, hey, we don't want this to get out of hand, because yeah, for years Overwatch players bought into this conspiracy that it's 50-50 matchmaking. If you get too far away from 50-50, they're going to ensure you lose some, blah blah blah, and all this sort of stuff. Like, I think Marvel understood what you were saying, right? There was this mob mentality that was getting around, like Necros, who had, these people had never heard of EOMM before, and now we're all pitchforks about it within 24 hours. And Marvel Rivals was just like, hey, we're going to get out in front of it. We'll have a video within 3 weeks of this story blowing up. We're just going to show as many cards as you guys are willing to see.
I still don't know what a coefficient is. I'm gonna need a lecture
Yeah.
at some point.
I have a Bible college degree, so I don't know either.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Had I gone to school for engineering, like was the other plan, maybe I could have told you, but no, I don't know either. Now look, I think there are a couple things to say about this video. That number one, while this answers the question about EOMM, I do think that the point still stands that the matchmaking in the game is not great. And I don't think that that has anything to do with the system that they showed here. I think it has everything to do with the way that they do placements, with the way that they do resets, how often they do resets, all that sort of thing. Like, and the amount of players who can take a full season off and be former GM players now playing in silver lobbies and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah,
that's the
it's
reason
not
matchmaking is bad.
necessarily a math issue, is what I think I'm picking up here. It's that it's kind of more systemic, like just kind of the nature of the beast. And so maybe we need to change, maybe we need to tame that beast. And it takes time, it takes trial and error, right? And I think they've made how many changes already in, 3 seasons so far. Uh, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more. I'm sure in a year from now the game's going to look totally different in a lot of ways. So again, kind of staying on the sunny side, the bright side. Yeah, I'm looking forward to where it goes from here, and hopefully this is all just kind of the stuff that kind of polishes the game as it goes forward. These issues kind of getting better and better.
Yeah, and yeah, I I have to imagine that they kind of understand where those other systemic issues lie. I I do wish they would have talked a little bit about how they're hoping to improve matchmaking in the future in this video, which I don't really think they touched on, unless I missed that part. But I really do feel like this came from a place of frustration where they really just didn't want the the sort of like the the perception to become the reality, where they just would let the EOMM monster grow so big that they couldn't defeat it. So this sort of felt like it came out of a place of necessity. If I was on this marketing team and was doing the messaging, I probably would have said, "Hey guys, let's slow up for a second and try to understand like the EOMM discussion isn't just coming from a place where people like think that this system is in because they don't like this system. They're doing this because they perceive there being kind of a larger issue. What is that larger issue, and what are some ways that we as a team can hope to tackle it? Like you want to maybe soften the whole like we told you so with like, but we hear you, and here's how we're hoping to change things. Um, what were was there anything else from like your reading of the video that kind of jumped out to you as interesting?
And then, this one was tough for me again, like the numbers and stuff in general. Um, I kind of do get lost in the sauce a lot of the time, and I'm just like, like, okay, I believe you. Um, Now, just in general, I do think it's comforting to know that this isn't an issue. I hope, and again, this is just kind of hippy dippy, whatever, but I do hope that this is kind of like a call to action for NetEase, or for whoever's involved, to try to fix some of these issues. Like you said, they are issues; they exist. We now know that it's not what people feared, but that doesn't mean that the problem is fixed. So this is comforting, but it doesn't actually fix anything.
Mhm. There were a couple other tidbits I wanted to take from the video and quickly mention here. They did mention roll queue in the video and why they weren't
Mm.
considering adding roll queue, and there were a couple of those points that I think we're well aware of. Right? They want to continue to allow that freedom, the creativity that encourages more strategy, varied gameplay, sort of that sort of stuff. We've talked about that at length, right? And how they want to kind of tackle weird metas through balance changes versus like roll queue. The second thing is just the increasing queue times, especially for DPS players who are trying to find things. This third point was one I hadn't really thought about, but when he said it, I was like, that just makes a lot of sense. And it was just that if you have a roll queue and you're still wanting to make sure that like your DPS players are getting into matches without having to sit in 20-minute queues, you're going to have to take the roles with those lower player populations like Vanguard and Strategist and lower the ranked threshold. So when you think about that, like the sort of expanding threshold that happens as time goes on, you would have to start that from a lower threshold for the like Vanguard and Strategist position. So you are much more likely as a DPS player to be match made with somebody who is, you know, 3, 4, 5 divisions lower than you are now, being just put into a flex game where you just kind of have to figure out the roles people are going to play when you get into the match, and then that would result in lower match quality as well, because then you're playing with some, you know, uh you're a GM DPS player having to play almost every game with, you know, diamond strategist and diamond vanguards just to avoid long queues.
Yeah, this is dangerously close to math for me, but again, like I said you can convince me of anything when you're using numbers. So this makes a lot of sense to me. And it just kind of shows me like this is something I don't think many people would have thought about, right? Like you said, never would have thought about it, but it just kind of makes sense. And I think that's a big part of maybe the message too. Part of that mic drop that's maybe not spoken is like these people have made something that so many people have enjoyed over the past year, right? I mean, almost a year. And even though it's not perfect, I think it kind of like benefits us all to kind of like trust them as long as they're not like constantly airing in other ways, maybe like just kind of let them do their thing, let them cook, if you will, like the kids say. I think they still say that. And like just kind of trust the process. I'll give feedback where it's needed, and again, they've kind of proven that they are constantly looking at that, taking it into consideration, and trying to be, I guess, as transparent as possible about it when they can. So I mean, I don't want to like sound like I'm making ads for NetEase, or for the man or the establishment or whatever, but like in this case, like this is something that so many people are passionate about and has made people so happy. Let's keep it going, like let's just kind of trust the people that made it. and let them do their thing.
And not to mention the fact that these are people that are paid to sit and think about this game for much
Mhm.
longer parts of their days and weeks than you and I do, you know?
And it's been in development for years before we even knew that it existed, right? Before we even knew that it was a concept or whatever. So like it's people they've got a lot of stuff going on the back end that we will never know about and probably don't even need to know about. As long as there's something there for you to like and enjoy, that's in some ways something to be grateful for. Not saying that you can't want more or want something different from it.
You know that episode of The Office where they're in Florida and the famous Amos guy is there and Aaron goes up to him and is like, I have a great idea for you. And he's like, oatmeal raisin without the raisins. And she was like, oh.
Thank you.
and
Sorry.
I think that's just such a perfect example. And I'm sure you encounter this in teaching, right? Where like a parent comes to you with an idea that's just so like you thought about that day one and here's 5,000 reasons why it doesn't work and all this sort of stuff. I experience it every day as a community manager for the game I work on, where people have all these wonderful ideas about how to make our game great. And it's like, yeah, I thought about that day one. Here's why it wouldn't work. And I think this was just that singular point in this video was just a reminder to me that it's like, look, I can play this game and I can have my opinions and I can come on this podcast behind this mic and voice my opinions. And I try to be as constructive as humanly possible with the opinions that I spout. But at the end of the day, there's things that I'm going to say and recommend and ideas that I have that I'm sure that these guys thought about on day one. And there are reasons that they haven't been implemented. There are reasons that they wouldn't work. And there are reasons that I have never even started to think of. And this whole idea of like lower player populations requiring lower rank thresholds is something I never would have thought of. And it's something that I'm sure they've had at the hip, ready to fire since the moment they started building this matchmaking system and considering roll queue. Because I'm sure roll queue was on the pin board day one of designing Marvel Rivals because they saw what Overwatch was doing, right? Um, so I thought that was interesting. They also talked about how they're working on more interesting vanguards and strategists. We've talked at length about how that's something that they've needed. I did think that one of the interesting things that he brought up was just like a basic stats thing where he's like, hey, if any given 3 match sequence, you have a 12.5% chance of losing all 3 of those matches just statistically. And he's like, expand that over 10 matches and you have a 50% chance of losing 3 in a row across 10 of those matches. Um, and I just thought that was such a great way to just illustrate that, like, hey guys, you are perceiving your loss streaks as something more than just like statistical realities of engaging in any kind of a system where one team gets one outcome and the other team gets the opposite outcome. Like flip a
And
coin 10
there's so many
times. Yeah.
variables within that equation too, right? Not to get too mathy myself, but like, it depends on the individual opponents within that team. It depends on kind of what they're bringing to the table. It depends on if like somebody's kid starts screaming and they have to step away from the controller for a second. You just kind of never know. Like there's so much that goes into it. But yeah, statistically in a game where you're paired up with 5 other people against 6 other people, there's just so much that can weigh into that. It's not like a thing where just one great player can carry a whole team or, even 2 or 3. It's got to be kind of a more broadened, um, equilateral effort. Is that a thing? That's a triangle thing.
Mm, yes,
Mhm.
equilateral. Uh, Yeah, yeah. Well, and also not to mention just the fact that if you're queuing back to back to back games and you're at a higher elo, you're more likely to run into the same teams and same players, and that's more likely if you're stacking, right? If you're running a 3 stack and the way that matchmaking works, you're more than likely going to run into that same 3 stack, and there's no way to like balance to where okay, now you're better than that 3 stack this game. It's like if they were better than you 20 minutes ago, they're going to be better than you now too. Like it's just the way the world works. So um, I don't know, man. It's funny because I think people think that they want things one way, and then they realize. I think about this with like Madden. and with all sports games, right? And I work on a sports game, so and people always talk about I want it to be realistic. Why doesn't it feel realistic to me? And then those same people are like, guys, just won the Super Bowl with the Browns in year 3 of my franchise or whatever. And it's like, guys, the Browns haven't won a Super Bowl in 60 years. And you're saying you want a realistic game that you can then turn the Browns around in 3 years and win a Super Bowl? Like you want things a certain way. And then when it gets delivered to you in that way, like you what in reality, what you guys want is a game where you never lose. All right. Or you never lose 2 in a row. But that's just not the way that the world works, and it's not the way that these games work. Um, and I think they did a pretty good job in this video. I think there were some missed opportunities in it, but I think overall they did a really good job of just saying like, "Hey guys, we put a lot of thought into this system. It's not perfect, but here's how it works, and it doesn't work the way that you guys think it works or that you've been told it works."
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a fair look at it from what I know.
The final point I wanted to make here, Seth, was that I did find it interesting. They didn't post this video on YouTube. Um,
Really?
yeah, they just put this video on X, and I think that it's just because this is such a streamer topic. Like if you're just playing Rivals and you don't watch Necros and you don't listen to Rival Banter and you're not engaged in these areas, you've never once thought about EOMM. And so I know that they didn't want to introduce EOMM into their like YouTube space where people are coming to watch the trailers and all this sort of stuff. Um, and so I'm sure they just put this out on Twitter just to say we're going to put it here, knowing that every single streamer is going to react to it. Rival Banter is going to react to it. I'm sure they thought about us directly when putting it together.
Naturally.
um, and we're just going to distribute it from there. But I thought that was an interesting tactic. That they knew that this was an isolated like echo chamber problem with like the deepest rooted parts of the community that they didn't want to spoil they didn't want to spoil the whole well by putting it out like on their YouTube channel.
Yeah, I would never have really thought about that either. I'm not really into X much at all, but that makes sense, right? Like, why poison the well, like you said, and like just like bring that up into the larger, broader consciousness of the player base. And of course, even then, there's still going to be people, especially the more that hear about it, that are like, well, they kind of go deep state with it, right? Like they're gonna say, like, well, obviously they're lying, and here's why. And like that, it becomes kind of this endless debate without any real evidence to show for anything.
I need tinfoil hat, Seth,
hmm
to
With a
protect
little like
ourselves.
made out of old Marvel comics or something like that. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't think this fixes the discussion around matchmaking. I think there's still things that need to be changed, but I appreciate the effort for the video. 18 minutes is crazy, but I get what they were going for. I saw it was 18 minutes. I was like, all right, I'm going to watch it, but I'm not going to be happy about it.
take a drag on a cigarette.
And then as soon as they started talking about coefficients, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Um, yeah. Wow, they went there.
All right, man. Well, let's get out of here, Seth. What are you going to get up to in game this week?
Like I logged on. I was my goal today logging on earlier on was to play like one or two competitive matches and try just to get over that little tiny hump. We haven't played any comp in the past week or so, but just to hit gold and get the skin for this season. I haven't even looked at it. I'm guessing it's blade. Is it a blade skin?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's not good
Okay.
too.
Okay, well, whatever. But I like to have the stuff. It took me like a solid minute to find a match, and I gave up before. It may have even been longer than a minute or so. Like that clock just kept counting, and like the little
Oh, that's
voice in my
weird.
mind was going, "Dead game." But it may be where I was on, like the Wi-Fi network that I was on, or something like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Who knows? May have been the time of day, whatever. But yeah, I wasn't used to that, so I gave up and just played some quick play, found matches instantly, and I got a little more bang for my buck that way. But again, if I don't get those skins, no skin off my butt.
Yeah, I've been playing some Hulk. Probably gonna keep playing some Hulk, and
Hmm.
tank duo baby has been pretty fun. I think it's cool to lock just me and you lock in two tanks because I think it forces people to just go strategist. I think we have a lot more success getting 2-2-2 comps when I'm not trying to play strategist. So,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I don't even know if I ever answered what I'm planning to get up into
oh
this
yeah,
week.
sorry, yeah.
I think it's just that I kind of forgot. I got lost in the sauce again too. Just working on. I need to clean up some battle pass stuff. I think I did actually finish the battle pass today. I usually try to milk that, like, you get 1,000 whatevers and
Mhm.
1,000 purple things, and then you get what is it, 100
100
units.
units. Yeah.
And so I try to milk that for all it's worth. I'm probably not going to be as successful this season as I was the past couple of seasons, but whatever. Save me a couple dollars in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I finished the battle pass over the weekend. And so I think I have a couple more of the like big challenges to finish and for like the healing and damage taken and stuff. So I think I can probably, yeah, I can probably get like half a legendary skin before it's all said and
Mm.
done off of units. So yeah, I'll
Oh,
work
I
on that.
forgot. I played a game as Mr. Fantastic earlier. Had two awesome plays. I wish I had saved them. I could probably go back and find them, but maybe will share that with you
Mm.
sometime,
Did you have
some
a
way.
like complete
It
two
was like
games as a
it was like a
duelist?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was going for. So I was like, let me just play around with him a little bit. Got like a couple of quads, and I don't know. I went on a tear for a while, and then Namor stole MVP from me at the last second. But it's fine. It's fine.
Man, that makes you feel bad because you know that most of his kills just came from his fucking monstros. He didn't
Just a
do
couple
shit.
monstros. Yeah, yeah, bum.
Yeah, but yeah, I think I'm gonna keep working on my Hulk. Trying to trying to get better with him. I'm trying to get better at like keeping my jump up at all times. I'm really bad
Mhm.
at kind of two handing that side of the controller, but
Yeah,
uh, other than that, yeah, you know, if you're on and want to play some competitive, I'll play some competitive with you. But yeah, we had the resource rumble stuff that we wanted to try out, so we didn't jump into that. We didn't jump into competitive as much as we may have hoped for,
yeah.
uh, but yeah, next week's big week. We'll start getting information about season four, all of the new balance changes, the heroes, the maps, all that sort of stuff. So make sure you tune back in for all of the latest there. And yeah, until then, good luck in your games, and we'll see you next week. We love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.